Good morning and welcome to another edition of Roadhouse Live. We are live. Today is June 12, 2023. Huh. Bender, how was your weekend, man? How was everything with you?
Well, it was busy, but good. I put, I think, almost 20 hours on the skid steer, and it didn't show up until about 10:30 on Saturday. So,
Oh, wow.
got some time. Made use of it.
Sounds like that's getting it done.
Yeah,
Very
I'll tell you. So we've had the property like a year, and I thought I was estimating we had cleared like probably 14 of the 17 acres, and but I hadn't seen like the whole backside of the property. And after getting back there and seeing how many trees are back there, and there's definitely more than 3 acres left. It's probably more like 5, and it's thicker than what we had already cleared as far as trees go, which means it's going to take me another 7 months to burn them all. It's to see it after getting all the debris and everything cleaned up from the last cleaning, to see it and how much is left to do. I'm just like, oh my God, we're starting all over.
Yeah.
That's what it feels like.
Yeah. And what I noticed is as time goes on, it grows. It continues to grow.
That's what plants do.
I know. It's really wild. So it's like
next you're going to tell us it's Tuesday. Or tomorrow's Tuesday.
See, yeah. But that's tomorrow. See, you got it wrong at first, but you circle back around to nail it. Yes, things have an order and a progression. Yeah. Speaking of order and progression, looks as if we're, overnight kind of coming to the day, kind of set for a little bull run here. Kind of, sort of. Everything is pointing in that direction. They're saying nice things about semis. They're saying nice things about pretty much everything. Everything is like hunky dory. The only thing that is a little bit, I don't want to say sketchy, VIX was able to find some footing overnight. So while we are definitely, up nicely to come into a new week, the VIX, which we started seeing a little bit on Friday, stabilizing, is going to open green as well. Now, we've seen that. The reason why I want to talk about it a little bit is we've seen how the VIX has been nothing but straight up sold for what seems like the last 4 or 5 months. Just sell, 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 to where there's not any, traditional, if you will, protection or any type of massive vol involved in this environment that we've been trading. We get like little tiny spikes that immediately get sold back off. With this being said, coming into a week that is jam-packed with data, jam-packed in global shenaniganery, the VIX found a little bit of footing and is trying to kind of wibble wobble its way up with the market overall. Why I believe that's important is we've seen episodes like this to where the VIX and the market can grind up together for several days and then the bodies hit the floor for one or the other. We've seen VIX go into straight up sell-off mode, which then bolsters the upside move to the market. And we've seen the opposite, to where it's like, okay, this is about as good as it gets for now. And then we get a pretty sizable pullback. If you're leaning directly on flow to kind of say, well, which one is going on, Hells, you have to lean towards the upside with the lines of flow that have come into things like AMD, to the put writing on Apple last week, to the lines into Boeing, Shop, Adobe, the list just goes on as far as names that are getting bona fide upside action, not only through this week, but through the summer at the same time and into next year. So with that being said, it's like until some of that stops and still until we start getting some calls coming in on the bid and some call writing, which we have not seen very much at all, we have to take this as far as okay, we have a binary moment in time, actually two, which is really one, on Wednesday when we have the rate announcement, which is expected to come in at nothing. And then we get more, let's just call it guidance, Fed speak from Powell, which is going to be interesting. Many of the articles, and I'll keep this quick so we can move into the levels, but many of the articles and many of the publications out there are basically making it sound like there's zero chance that they're going to raise rates this time around. And two, that the Fed is actually kind of stuck and has a problem right now as far as dealing with the pressures of inflation versus the pressures of destroying the market in general. And when I say the market, I'm not talking about the market, I mean more the economy in general. So we have to separate those two things because anybody who's traded over the last 10 years knows for damn sure there is a massive disconnect that can be really, really exacerbated when it comes to the economy and the market. And some of the biggest mistakes that I've made is forgetting that and not, understanding that they are two different elements. So flow is bullish. And as we know, flow usually remains bullish until it's not. Why don't you tell us about these charts? Tell us what you got.
Sure thing. Let me share my screen here. Okay. Let's start with the daily here. And the reason why is because I want to highlight this shaded box here. I don't have the bottom of it right where it needs to be, but it's not important at the moment. And the reason it's not important to me is because we've already kind of traded up into it. But I want to highlight the top of it here. And the reason why is because that's a fair value gap on the daily that tops out at 43.86. And as you can see, once it's kind of through, if it gets through that, you don't really have anything else. You don't really have anything else as far as fair value gaps and whatnot is concerned between that 43.83 and 44.55, which was that wick high from August. Just want to kind of point out that that's what we're trading up into, and the top of that being 43.86. What you will also notice, and I'm going to go to let's go to a 60-minute. No, we're going to go to a 15-minute. On the 15-minute, you will see that I drew fibs from this low down here, 42.17 on March 31st. This high that we made before this little consolidation right here, that was 43.49.25. 1272 of that comes in 43.85.25. So, if we continue, we're at 43.61.5 right now. And if we continue to push higher, if we push up into that 43.86 area, know that those two things are kind of hanging out there. You have that 1272 there and also the top of that fair value gap on the daily. A couple other lines that I have on here. I've got the Asia session low down here, 43.51.25. You have London high, 43.67, and then last night's high, 43.69.5. You also see this blue box right here. That's fair value gap here that you can see on the 15-minute, that down candle that created that. And I think, coming into the morning, this is kind of what I'm going to be paying attention to is this 15-minute fair value gap here. If we get some sort of, if we get a rally, we get a move up and through that, it'll probably take out London high, probably take out Sunday night's high, and start that march potentially up to fill the rest of this daily fair value gap. That's 25 handles up from here to get to the top of that, right? As far as what I'm looking for support, or, you know, levels it may hunt if it starts pushing down. We've got 3 a.m. right in this 43.56 half. So if it breaks back below this box, we'll look for that 3 a.m. low, that 43.56 half, and then Asia session low, 43.51 half. This shaded box down here is new week opening gap down to 43.48 half. So for me, this 43.48 half on a pullback, we'd want to see that hold as support. We want to see that price is going to react off that in this 43.48 area, and look for, you know, maybe they take out those Asia session lows, come down, test that new week opening gap, and it finds support in there, and then look for a fair value gap to trade, you know, on a pullback after a bounce to that. If it gets below that, the previous new week opening gap below that is down at 43.32. And that would likely be the target. If it gets below this and it can't reclaim it, you know, it likes to trade new week opening gap to new week opening gap. So those 43.30s, that would be, I think, the target if it gets below this. I think that's about it.
All right, but so it looks like you're looking for a test of that little box there, and then probably a fade, and close probably right where we open.
Yeah,
if I'm reading into what you're saying, if I'm trying to.
Right now, it looks like, you know, the direction that, you know, the trajectory that we've been on is obviously we make a leg higher and then pull back a little bit, consolidate, make another leg higher. And, you know, until we don't, it's like, okay, what's the objective? What's the target? Well, it may be to go fill this in. Again, I haven't made it through all the content on fair value gaps and things, so I don't try to, you know, teach how they work, because I don't know enough to do that. I know enough to be dangerous, but, you know, I think normally what you would hear is that when direction is decided, you expect the top of fair value gaps to be speed bumps, but not necessarily, you know, not necessarily the final objective. But, you know, at least for now, again, it's been push up, consolidate, or pull back a little bit, and then push up some more. And I'm looking at the top of that daily fair value gap going, okay, well, maybe that's where they want to take it. As far as the time cycles go, and kind of what I was forecasting out, looking at, would be that sort of the strength that we've seen. It would make sense to me if that was to slow down a little bit early this week, and maybe things cool off. Again, as we know, they can just keep driving higher, right? But just the stuff that I'm looking at tells me that, okay, it would make sense if we took a breather and sort of, you know, shuffle up the deck, reset the deck, ultimately to make that much higher push and move. And the fact that I'm sitting here, you know, going, can we please pull back just a little bit, you know, so that I can kind of reload on some stuff? Means, you know, they're probably not going to give it to me, because who knows how many other people are sitting there going, can you please just,
well,
you know.
Look, Wednesday's going to be the tell of the tape, and it's not going to be the decision. Yeah. It's going to be his message, which is basically like, we have to look at Wednesday as being him giving guidance. right? It's like an ER call, him giving guidance as far as what the story is going to be moving forward. If is this, I'm sure Bender, the question is going to be asked: is this a prolonged pause, or are we looking to raise again in July? That's going to be asked. But I think the majority of people are looking at Jackson Hole for the official, this is going to be Fed policy for the next 6 to 8 months coming out of Jackson Hole in August. So it's like, it's a tough bet either way. All your levels over here make sense as far as, okay, let's go top that and then kind of pull back a little bit. But I think the people that are looking for, and look, Abe, I can speak to this, some of the people that are looking for a pullback, you have the pullback people I want to get in, right? Then you also have the people like, I'm going to short this thing back down to the ground because it's worth zero. You have that crowd also that want to short it down to zero. The problem is any red candle that comes in, for the most part, you have groupings of people being, and this is the way this works in these bull cycles. And if you're caught on the wrong side of it, you'll see it after the fact. But you have this grouping that's like, oh, I need a dip, I need a dip, I need a dip. They get a dip and they don't buy it. They just, because it's the beginning of the end, right? It's like, oh, finally, fine. At the same time, bear wants to short into the ground. They're sitting there being like, oh, red candle. What is that? Another one? That's a third red candle. What?
It's time.
It's finally happening. It's happening. It's like, so you get that mentality coming on the other side. All the while, the market is still maintaining in a very bullish upside. As far as looking at the chart. The last thing I'll say on that, when we formed out that bottom, when we bounced in October, that chart looked like absolute shit. There was nothing bullish about that setup in any capacity other than one day it stopped going down. And then 2-3 weeks later, it started showing some type of form, some type of like, oh, okay. But then it was like, oh, it's a rising wedge, rising wedge, rising wedge. Oh, the rising is wedge. Oh, so it's like, you just have to be the one thing that has been tried and true, and I can't say it enough, and I'm still very angry at myself in a lot of ways. Flow has not lied. It hasn't lied. And now we see that they're hitting 400 calls on Boeing. Right? We're talking about a globally sensitive stock that they're hitting 2024 or 2024, 25. They're hitting it like it's going there. So it's like when you get to shop 70s out to July, they're hitting it. They're hitting it. There's another 10% left in this market to the upside easily. That's if ever all the messaging and everything holds firm. So thank you for the chart. I just want to walk through that a little bit because it's like we get this all the time. People begging for a pullback. They get the pullback and they're like, oh, I thought we were going to die. I didn't buy anything.
Right. Well, and then when you have people the other side of it, that's what kind of creates the continued, when there's a clear direction or side that has been picked, and everyone is, if there's size trying to short it, as soon as the next green candle occurs, right? It's like when you get too many that are off sides, too many folks trying to short. As soon as a green candle comes in, then it's like, okay, nope, cover back out. And we've been seeing a lot of that too.
And it's like, if everybody's honest with themselves, so let's go back and look at these candles back in May, right? We got two knifes down, put in a higher low, fired. That's a pullback. That's two different chances to buy the upside move, like in a very exaggerated way on the daily. Like that was a good, solid, 100-point drawdown on the ES twice in May to be able to stack with a higher low and it fired. That's just the chart. The flow was saying the same thing. It's like, buy it. We writing puts over here while you're sitting there trying to take them directionally, and they're writing them. And I can say that very clearly. It's like a lot of it is me talking to myself at the same time because I caught the commie bug. The commie got all up in me, not going to lie. And so some of this stuff, I'm not nearly as as happy as I could have been if I wasn't a fucking dingleberry. So that's that. You got anything else?
Nope. I think that's it.
Sonny, what you got, big boy?
Morning, everyone. Upgrades quickly. So the cruise line's cutting an upgrade. The CCL, RCL, NCLH. Oracle also got an upgrade. Sentinel One got an upgrade. Tesla, VRTU, WMT all got upgrades. Price targets were raised for Amazon to 154, SoFi to 11, PLTR to 18. On the downgrades, ARES downgraded to 93, equal weight from overweight. Bell, they had their ER last week, I think, so they've been downgraded to equal weight now. Other one, KMX, NIO. So NIO also announced yesterday they're lowering their prices, and they will no longer be providing free battery swapping service to their new users. And the other one was SIG, it's jewelry and stuff.
Yeah, that one. Oof.
Yeah.
You remember we were trading it, and I went long commons when it was down. It was like $10 or something like that. $12, 12. I think somewhere in there. And I sold them. I want to say it was under $20, like 18 something, and then it just that rallied up to 112. Jeez.
Yeah, and it's one of those, thinly traded, so you gotta be very cautious with that one. The other ones, so they're talking about the U.S. solar. They had their best Q1 ever. TAN, FSLR, ENPH run, SPWR, and they see it doubling in the next 5 years. So I know a couple of you guys play FSLR, ENPH, both are nice movers. So Hells talked about, BS getting this nice bullish flow. So the catalyst, and I talked about this a few weeks ago. So the short-term catalyst is the Paris Air Show is June 19th through the 25th. This is when all the manufacturers and the governments and everybody comes out, places their new orders for the airlines, what planes they want to buy, things like that. So there will be some announcements, BS sold 500 planes to deliver in the next 25 years, shit like that. So that is the short-term catalyst. Then there's another air show, I think, down in November that happens.
Very nice.
Definitely watch the flow on that.
Yeah.
Flying
Oracle,
taxis are coming.
You mentioned Oracle. Oracle's had some pretty weird flow to the upside. Strongly weird.
And the funny thing about the Oracle flow has been, it's been coming towards the end of the day. Mm-hmm. Twice I've noticed it, like there'll be like a bunch of them just coming towards the end of the day.
Look, it's like then we'll flip into Stonk real quick, but it's like that play that I put on SOXL based on that 400K sweeper that came through on Friday. Zero chance that I take that if I just base it off of what I believe. That was a pure and utter, you know what? Somebody just dropped 400K basically on a weekly. I'm going to go ahead and tail that. Mm-hmm. That's separating myself and what I think from okay, somebody's slapping. I'm going to go ahead and follow the slap. That's right. I think that we have to do that until that fails.
Exactly.
Until it fails. So far, it hasn't really failed, but it's like that's going to be up nicely.
Yep. So there's a little piece of news on that also for the chips.
Yeah.
The U.S. market has said, the U.S. government had said, so any South Korean, Taiwanese manufacturers that have business in China, U.S. is not going to sanction those companies. And if they want to expand their existing operations and whatnot, U.S. is not going to interfere. So you're looking at TSM, Micron, and others.
Yeah. And then Blinken is supposed to be meeting with going over the meet with Homeboy there here, another week or so?
And China said they had no idea about Blinken's visit.
Yeah. It's just weird.
Put a statement out. They have no information on his visit at the moment.
Uh-huh.
So I'm like, okay, one of them is lying. I'm sure he's gonna go. I'm sure they have planned it out. They just everything on the edge. A little bit surprising news that I found was the U.S. government's preparing evacuation plans for the American citizens living in Taiwan.
Well, it's good to have.
That was a little bit surprising. It's good to have.
Good to have plans. You just can't share them. You just can't share them with random people or like keep them in your bathroom. It's like, other than that, it's good to have plans.
Good to have plans.
Stonk, what you got, buddy?
All right, what's up? I'm here. Hello. Yeah, let's get into some stuff. Let me get my screen going. Here we go. Yeah, awake. All right, real quick, I was going to start out with this book. This is one of the best. You guys know I've been working on books, readings, studyings. This is one of the best I've read in a while for all this stuff. Would recommend, and we'll do the 2-minute recap. So it's in the title there, Best Loser Wins. So this guy worked at a big brokerage in London for like 10 years and was like, wow, all these traders at the brokerage lose money all the time. So he's going to figure out why. And he puts it in the title, Best Loser Wins, basically because it's all about how you take a loss. That's his whole thing, is like, you're going to take losses, and noticing that the 90% part of the issue is just emotionally charging each candle, whether it's for or against your position. And so to eliminate that, his process every day was to start of every day, picture himself taking a loss that would be so emotionally impactful that you know, you couldn't pay for your car, couldn't pay for your house, whatever, you know, you connect with, and then picture on the same other side of it riding a trend, just holding and riding the trend all the way up. And so just basically canceling out those emotions, and kind of ties to like the Mark Douglas thing, you know, or like, yeah, it's just the market's just information that's not emotionally charged until you add that in your own brain, and then fear and greed and whatever other emotions kick in, and then you start trading like a dumbass. So it's like a box of Krispy Kreme donuts. They're not charged with any type of energy, sexual or otherwise.
That's not true.
HellsBells
That's
sees
not
it.
true. That's not true. That's not true. They're about as erotic as it gets. That is so untrue. Fresh out of the fucking hopper with the oh my God.
So
find a different one.
So there's that. And then the one other tip is that his big thing in the book is green is green, and you don't go broke taking profits. He says that's fucking bullshit. And is basically how the 90% of people that fail do go broke, is just trying to take these little profits that won't cancel out the big losses because they're sitting in shitty trades that they shouldn't be in anyways. So basically it's like, when you know your edge is activated, you press it and you max it out. And when you're wrong, you just get out and you don't have any emotion tied to it. So definitely go read that book, but that was kind of the recap. So jumping into the charts, the Russell. So this is like the longer term trend line that's been respecting, but I've got it looking like it's in this bull flag here. Very small new week opening gap. So I just left it as this line at 1886.20. It was right around in here, really small one in the Russell. So orange box above, that's an upside target, weekly fair value gap up there. And we did see bulls on the IWM for Friday. If we're going to continue, if we have to push down, first downside target will be the bottom of this 4-hour fair value gap there that comes in at 1877.10, and then we've got daily fair value gaps below and continuing. So that's what I'll be looking for on the Russell. We've jumped over to the NASDAQ. We've kind of got, we're in a key area here. This is just kind of would be like a week high up there, because we didn't actually stop out anyone who took this short last time. You could see they left it open just by just a tick. Key resistance level there. Here's our new week opening gap below. We've already kind of traded through it last night, but wouldn't be surprised if we had to go back down there at some point. And then we've got our big long-term rising wedge I've been showing since last week. If we had to continue downside, I'll be checking for a pause around this 660 flat. And then we've got the fair value gap below on the 4-hour. Let's see, jumping over a lot of talk already about Boeing. So I think that'll be a good watch this week. Let's check it out. So I marked up this. This was actually also Swan's call trigger from Friday. Was this 219.15? So I think we can recycle it here. And then we've also got this dark pool that it's sitting on right now, 217.31. That came in 6% of average 30-day on Friday. So based on the flow, I'll be looking to potentially take Boeing long. But if we're going to break down, I'll be looking at that 215.65. But yeah, flow is definitely hinting bull. And then swap over to Baba was the other one I wanted to watch. Big old falling wedge on the 4 hour. A lot of dark pool in this area. So above, I'm going to be watching this 87.85. We've got a dark pool that's sitting on 85.65, and then below a break below 84.80. We could need to come down and test the bottom of the wedge before going back up. And that is all I've got for today.
Yeah, thank you for that, Song. It's like the other one that I'm looking at, and if they give me a big red candle on Shop to open the day, you know how sometimes they'll sell it at open and then come back and just play snatch all the way back up through the day. Shop would be one of the ones. The way they're just absolutely pegging those July 70s or 70s, your 70s or 71s. They're absolutely nailing those. That's going to be something that's very, very that I want to get a piece of. The question is just more when, not if. It's like, so any pull down near what it closed at, which is up nicely, I'll go ahead and take that all the way down to basically about 60, 59, 50, 60. I would look to probably try to play scoop, just depending on the overall move. But that flows very bullish on Shop. And again, there's so many pieces of that throughout. It's like until that stuff starts coming on the bid, until that stuff kind of shifts as far as how that money wants to walk, got to respect it. So that's all I got. Fellas, you got anything else? We got about 6 minutes.
Reminder that all the witches are in town.
That's right. All four of them. Very interesting. All right, that's it. Got about 6 minutes, probably closer to 5. No, 6. That'll work. Until open. Let's have a good day. Let's have a good week. Let's make it happen. Thanks, guys.